my name is Kai, and today we'll be doing Blade Lord to Yak. We use 2 tanks, 3 healers, and 5 DPS. The fight takes place in a rectangular room. You enter with Tiak straight ahead. The room has alcoves around the outside where you fought trash and pillars on the inside. Start by pulling Tiak to the left side of the room. All players should be spread around him, filling the left wing. In Phase 1, there are 5 abilities. Tempest Slash sends a tornado at a random player. When it gets to them, it will revolve slowly on the spot. Getting hit by a tornado knocks you back and does some damage. Tornadoes do not despawn until Phase 2. Every minute, the boss will choose a player for Unseen Strike. Tiak will disappear, then reappear 5 seconds later at the player's location and do massive damage in a cone in front of him. Damage is split between all players hit, so stack on the targeted player. You can stack early for Unseen Strike, but stack too early and it is possible to have a tornado drop right on the raid, knocking everyone back. Every 30 seconds, Tiak will wind step a random player. He will blink to their location and apply a 30-second bleed to that player and any other player within 8 yards. Stay spread out more than 8 yards because the bleed does tick for a lot. The tanks must watch for the ability Overwhelming Assault. The boss will cast this on his current target, dealing high damage and putting a debuff on the player for 45 seconds. The debuff causes them to take 100% more damage from the next Overwhelming Assault. Tanks swap at this time. Every 60 seconds, Tiak will gain a stack of Intensify, which increases his damage done and haste by 5% per stack. After about the second wind step, your area of the room will be overfilled with tornadoes. Move the boss to the lower center of the room. You always want to keep the DPS and healers behind the boss so the tanks can pull him forward as the room fills. You have 4 potential areas to use: the left, the lower middle by the entrance, the upper middle by his original spawn point, and the right. We move him after 2 wind steps, so there is no surprise when he'll be moving. After 20%, Phase 2 will begin and all tornadoes will despawn. From 100 to 20%, you'll rotate through his 5 abilities. Avoid tornadoes and move the boss when necessary. Tank swap, stack for Unseen Strike. This is the most important ability. If the entire group isn't struck by a strike, the 2 or 3 people who are will die. He reappears on top of the targeted player and strikes in a cone in front of him, so stacking slightly behind the target player will not work. There will be a shadowy outline of Tiak to help you with positioning. So, at 20%, Tiak will fly back to the far left side of the room. The raid will be scooped up in a tornado and moved to the far right side of the room. While in the tornado, the raid will take ticking damage, so when you're released on the far right side, quickly heal up to full. All previous tornadoes will have despawned. Instead, Blade Lord will send moving tornadoes from himself across the entire room at the raid. The tornadoes have 3 lanes, left, right, and middle. Think of it like the game Frogger. You have to avoid the tornadoes and move down the lane to get back to the boss. Being hit by a tornado will do ticking damage while it scoops you back up and takes you to the start. The goal is obviously to get to the boss as quickly as possible without dying. You'll take ticking damage the entire time you're in Tornado Alley, even if you're never struck. Healers must try to heal as much as possible while also froggering to the boss, but personal cooldowns and heals are a must. Once you reach Tiak, damage him as quickly as possible. No tank is needed and he loses all his previous abilities except Intensify, which he will now stack on himself every 10 seconds. At 10%, the boss will lift off and fly across the room. You must cross back down the tornado lane to get to him, but you'll have help this time. On the right side of the lane, there will be an air current you can ride in. It increases speed by a lot and bypasses all of the tornadoes. However, it is only moving in the direction you need to go before Tiak flies off. Once he moves, the air will flow against you. To use it properly, the majority of the raid should get into the airstream at 13 to 12%. The tanks and 1 healer can stay behind to ensure dots and whatnot drop the boss the last 2% of life to get him to lift off. This way, the bulk of the DPS are already at the far side when Tiak lands, losing minimal DPS to playing Frogger. Using 3 healers can make the enrage timer somewhat tight, and his soft enrage with intensity stacks is also present. If you can 2-heal this fight, that's awesome. Otherwise, DPS will need to be on their game to kill him as quickly as possible. That's it! Live through Unseen Strike in Phase 1 and get used to playing Frogger in Phase 2, and Fat Purples await you. Thanks for watching, my name is Kai, and happy wind dodging!
Time up.